CMPRadio.net. It's the station.
Yeah, we're not gonna fall for a banana in the tailpipe.
Oh, fucker, where'd it go? Where'd my intro go?
Okay, here we go. The bullet train has 16 cars, 10 economy, 6 first class, and remember, only 1 minute stop at every station.
Tired of being stuck on 76, 95, 476, 222. You get the picture. Anyway, jump on this train.
Fuck nuts. The conductor, I don't have a ticket.
Not sure that's your biggest concern.
When I did the interview with the Oak Tree, we had a setup. I had it all set up. It was right on his stoop. It was a lovely day. Now the problem was there's a nice tree near Dominic's house, and it provides great shade, but it also provides a nice setup for early set for mosquitoes to get up in the getting on deck circle as the sun's getting ready to set. And those mosquitoes, when we were in front of Dom's house, they treated us like the cops. Get those 2 black males over there. So we had to bring it to the studio.
On the D train.
There's someone else doing a job on this train.
But we know that.
With Darren, DeVoue.
Another beautiful day in PA. Hello and welcome aboard the D Train with Darren DeVoue on CMPRadio.net. It's the station as well as the voice of Chester. A little hungover from work. I wish it was alcohol, but I've worked like 16 of the past 24 hours, so I'm a little worn out. Came from work at 6 o'clock this morning to here too. So yeah, a little worn out. But anyway, in today's run of the D Train, we're going to break down the Chester Clippers victory over Westchester Henderson from Friday night under the lights in Westchester. Then we're going to have a taped interview with Chester Clippers Dominic Toy, number 0 in your programs, number 1 in your hearts. And also, finally, we're going to end with a taped interview with Presumptive Mayor Stefan Roots. So with that said, though, let's get into the game. And what happened at the game, 36-0 over Westchester Henderson. Your scoring got started with when Jalen Harris got a short touchdown pass, and the Clippers got a 2-point conversion. Then with 8:16 to go in the second, Deshaun Jackson, who's on a tear lately, he ripped off a 67-yarder for a touchdown that put the Clippers up 14-0. Then Harris added a 2-point conversion pass, and that put Chester up 16-6. Third down pressure from Toy on the next drive. Third down pressure from the Oak Tree Dominic Toy forced an incompletion to an open receiver who was deep. He was open deep down the right side, but that pressure came at just the right moment, forced the quarterback who was already running to his right to overthrow that receiver. And then we turned around, and after that, then it was 5:01 in the second. Jay Harris. Now, we talked about this last week. I need this young man because he's doing it. And to be fair, what's my man? I can't even think of the Eagles quarterback name right now. My brain's so fried. Jalen Hurts. Oh, another Jalen. Jalen Hurts. He's been doing it this season too, as mobile quarterbacks often do sometimes. So they get dependent on their ability to be mobile. And Jalen Hurts has been doing it. He wasn't doing it last season, and neither was Jalen Hare. But what they've been doing, the eyes drop, and they're looking at the rush instead of reading. Harris, he missed the opportunity because the left end of the defense came up. And then instead of Harris saw him coming and then tried to avoid him rather than, like I said last week, can somebody get this message to this young man? Step up in the pocket. You've done awesome stepping up as a player, but I need you to step forward in the pocket, use your protection to your advantage. Instead, what Harris did was he rolled out to his right around the DN, running, looking for a receiver, can't find one, took an unnecessary shot from the DN in the process. So he's got to, keep his eyes downfield. Don't drop those eyes. But with that said, that should have been a touch. Toy wound up catching a screen pass with 2 minutes to go, and he got forced out of. Now the ref called him out of bounds at the 1, but that should have been a touchdown. I meant to text him, hey, that was a TD. That was you. Brown knows my guess. But then the gentle mist started to fall just before halftime. Wind started to pick up, but it reminded me of being at Niagara Falls when that mist from the Maid of the Mist starts to come down. Then with 11 seconds, Harris hit Fitzgerald for a 6-yard pass. Damon Fitzgerald, excuse me. Oh, funny story about Damon Fitzgerald in a moment. That 2-point conversion failed, but with the first half, Chester was up 22-6 over the Warriors of Henderson. Henderson had a lively student section with they were all adorned in pink over there. Like if you looked off to your, I didn't airdrop the photos of the stadium because, but the students were all to your left. And of course it is Pinktober, which is otherwise known as a big merchandising campaign, but because we are well aware of breast cancer, okay? John Adams, the 2nd president of the United States, his wife and his daughter had breast cancer. We are well aware of it. At this point, it is a merchandising campaign. And a lot of that stuff, because we talked about it in telemarketers. So these telemarketers, they're raising money for the police, right? The police say, okay, you're raising money for us. The police only take 10 cents off of every dollar because 10% of something is better than 0% of nothing. So when you see like a lot of those, would you like to donate to this or would you like to donate to that? Or a cause such as breast cancer, would you like to donate to that? Keep in mind, there's a good chance 90% of your dollar is going to be going towards whoever is running this fundraising to their administrative costs, executive salaries, etc., etc. After that, good morning, Mr. Waki. Umpa Abdul Waki is tuning in, and keep in mind, you can tune in to Umpa Abdul Waki's show, Finding Change Through Humility, and that's on Mondays here on cnpradio.net. What he needs to do for me, though, what you need to do for me, Mr. Waki, is I need you to have an episode where I'm already humble. What I need is change. So I need you to flip the script for me one afternoon on a Monday or evening on a Monday, and that'll be most appreciated. Please and thanks. With that said, then the home team, then it was halftime. The Vikings have to walk out of the stadium. Nice stadium, but they had to walk up out of the stadium. So they went up the steps and then have to traverse pretty much from the 50. You've already walked up about 30 steps. You traverse the 50. Then you're leaving the stadium. Then you're going into the school. It seemed like a nice hike for a home team. It would kind of negate the home field advantage, in my opinion. But what would I know? I'm just a simple guy trying to do a silly podcast on community radio. So another thing that I picked up on was there was raffles. You know how they do the 50-50 raffle here at Jet Field when the Clippers have home games. But they were doing raffles at not Zimmerman, that's East Stadium, at Henderson Stadium. They were doing raffles and they were giving away all kinds of gift baskets, right? An Eagles gift basket, a Target gift basket, a Giant gift basket. And I'm looking around at this place and at the stadium, they had a handicap ramp, a little handicap section for wheelchair needs people. So the stadium was like ADA, American with Disabilities Act certified. I was like, look at this. Like, I keep noticing the disparity in facilities, which also is the disparity in income, and it's just that's a topic for another day. Anyway, the Clippers were having a hard time getting to the edge on offense when they were running the ball, and Then turnovers, with respect to turnovers, Chester had 3, and Henderson had 1. Henderson's first turnover, Henderson's only turnover set up Chester's first score. Passing your friend's calls on Clipper. Did the voice to text from a script, and that didn't work out well. So 2 consecutive sacks by the defense, one by Steve Dale Jr. Hi, Mama Dale, and and one by Fitzgerald. So interestingly enough, so Steve Dale Jr. first game of the season, and I was announcing it in the stands, and I kept referring to him as Larry Gates. As I mentioned before, Mother politely came up and corrected me the next day. And then Damon Fitzgerald, who's been playing excellent, by the way, on defense, fired up young individual. But I happened to meet his mother up in the stands who had eye black on, and she was telling me about how they meet up for the team's pregame meal, they feed the kids and whatnot. So, but I'm watching her with the eye black on. I'm like, I bet she can get a little intense, huh? But watching, so it explains a lot when I watch her son play and he gets all fired up. I was like, oh, okay. I get it. So Deshaun Jackson then ripped off another one. That was the scoring. It got cold for a minute there. Then with 5:21 in the third, Henderson got a touchdown run and they started chipping closer. Their 2-point conversion was good. And then an interception return. So Chester was up 22-14 at this point. Then with 4:58 in the fourth, Deshaun Jackson ripped off a 51-yard touchdown run right up the gut. He's got some jets on him for a fella his size. Larry McDaniel, number 1 in your programs, actually number 1 in your programs. He ran for the 2-point conversion. And Chester ran an onside kick at that point, which I was questioning why. But then an offside by Chester, because they didn't recover the onside. So offside by Chester, so they had to kick again. And then they turned around, and instead they ran a different execution in the onside kick where Deron Harris approached the ball. The coverage team kind of slow-walked it. Harris boots it himself and recovers his own because Henderson's return team started to retreat, and Harris wound up recovering the onside kick, which was something. So that finished up your score there, 36-14 for the Clippers, and they will face next week's opponent, Academy Park at Jet Field, which I believe is a big old day, homecoming here. I heard there's a new system that you have to get tickets for in order to get tickets. So I'll talk to my agent and see what I can do about that. But in the meantime, congratulations to head coach Shaw and the Clippers on their 4th consecutive win. And usually I do have sound from head coach Shaw after the game, but I talked to him. He's actually we're going to do a little phone interview on next week. Interestingly enough, though, the penalties for Chester, we talked about the good, let's talk about the bad real quick. The penalties continue, and while I was waiting on the field, I went down to the field after the game to talk to head coach Shaw, and former head coach, now athletic director for the Clippers, LaDonte Bell, was standing there, and he was just thinking aloud, and he mentioned how the penalties, they're going to hurt you. That'll kill us in the playoffs. And I was like, yes, sir. Yes, sir, because the team that loses oftentimes is the team that makes the most mistakes. So that's got to get cleaned up for the Clippers. If Coach Shaw, if you need, I can just come to practice with a cattle prod and start zapping dudes, whenever I spot a penalty. I'm here for y'all. That's the kind of expatriate, new Chester resident that I am for you guys. But with that said, let me share. Let's run. Whoa. Oh, here. No, that's not it. We got to get this toy interview loaded. So actually, I don't think I have it loaded, folks. So bear with me for a moment. CMP Radio. I can hear him now. Anyway. Where is it? No. Wait, I still right. Give me 1 second, folks. I wish we had one of those. Please tune in. You know what? Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to go straight to our interview with Presumptive Mayor Stefan Roots, and we'll get that party started. So, here we go. This was recorded last week. Again, ran from work. Mr. Roots was gracious enough to meet me after he got done his affairs for the day, so he came in. So I scooted from work, got here, conducted an interview, and we had a lot of fun. So here you go, and keep in mind, folks, keep in mind that it is not over, and this will be covered in the interview that you're about to hear. But September 7th is not over. He is the presumptive mayor, and you'll have more on that in the upcoming interview. But remember, vote November 7th. Chester's got one more step to take in order to get Stefan Roots into the, what do you guys, City Hall. I was about to call, what is the White House of Chester? But hold on here. All right, so we're going to air that interview, and here we go. DeVoue here on the D Train. I have one of my best gets yet as a guest, and introducing, you already know him because you see him all the time, Mayor-elect Stefan Roots. Mayor-elect, thank you for joining us.
Hey, it's my pleasure. It's always great to talk to the locals.
Now, you know what? One of the things that I noticed during the election, because mind you, I'm from Philadelphia, so I'm pretty much an expatriate. I've been living here for the past 2 years.
Expatriate, I love that.
Yeah.
And you're still within the borders.
Yes. Ain't going nowhere, actually. One time, first time I came to visit somebody here, and I got off the train at Highland Avenue. I got about maybe 10 steps off the platform, and I stopped, and I was like, do you hear that, Darren? I was like, hear what? I said, exactly. It's nice and quiet out here. So, yeah, I definitely, but I was watching the mayoral race with a little keen interest, especially once I got involved here at CMP, and then I watched how things unfolded. Are you familiar with Cory Booker?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And now, do you remember perhaps when he had to run for mayor? Well, he was on city council in Newark, and then he was running for mayor, and then what he had to go through and what have you. Yeah. And so I was seeing parallels between that and yourself when you were taking on the established candidate. And one of the things that I was hearing about when I was ear hustle to locals, I would hear, oh, well, we know who that is, but do we really know Roots? And I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, I'm not from here, but I know what his voice sounds like. Why? Because he's been on CMP through two studios. I've seen him do interviews, and also at the games amongst the people, using the secret weapon that for any campaign, shoe leather. You know what I mean? So
I'm not campaigning at the games. I'm enjoying the games.
Nah, and that's the thing. That's the sense I got from you. Like you just really just mellowed out amongst the people. You weren't politicking.
No. And that's one thing that the people who really know me, who know politics, say, man, you're no politician. So I don't have that pedigree as a politician.
Okay.
So that's probably why you picked up what you picked up. But let's back up just a little bit.
Certainly.
You introduced me as mayor-elect. Some people take offense to that title because I have a campaign to run, and I have an opponent in the November election.
Oh, you do?
I do. So until I win that election, you officially can't call me mayor-elect.
Okay, because
some people have called me presumptive mayor because it's like Philadelphia, where
there is a Republican running. No,
there is a Republican running in Philadelphia, but with the overwhelming number of registered Democrats, they hardly ever have a chance.
Right.
Here in the city, everybody in the primary I defeated, and the only people who ran in the primary were Democrats. There were no Republicans. But in this instance, we had a Republican who switched to the Independent Party in time to qualify for the general election. So that I will have that person to compete against in the November election. So to that end, I'm going to show and tell.
Please do.
Yeah, because all you guys got to do is come out and vote again in November. So you'll see me walk around with these little cards that basically say, there's my face, and it says Stefan Roots, vote November 2nd. Let's finish the job, Chester. And on the back side, it says, you can read the back side.
Or I was just hold it up there.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Take it. So right there, and Roots premiere. You're November 7th, folks. Save the date. This is the unofficial save the date from Councilman Roots.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Just reminding people, Stefan Roots for Mayor, vote November 7th. And then our website, rootsformayor.com and rootsformayor at facebook.com, which will start putting new material up.
Outstanding. Well, you got my endorsement.
Well, there won't be a lot of campaigning.
Okay.
You know, people expect me to be knocking on every door in the city. I'm going to knock on a few, but it's going to be more of just reminding people to come out on November 7th. The job isn't done.
Right.
A lot of people think it's over. A lot of people think you're just going to roll right in January, but we have a little pit stop to make, and then we can roll on through.
Oh, and that's funny because I looked in when I was doing the research on you. I thought I saw running unopposed this fall, and I was like, "Oh, nice! He's off starting a dictatorship already." I like that. I like
Well,
that.
it really depends on who the journalist is and their intel.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
some of them realize there is an opponent. Most of them don't. Most of them think it's a done.
Right. Okay.
So again, presumptive.
Presumptive,
mayor.
right.
Yeah. I've never heard that term before, but that's
Okay.
the one that can be used without any.
They always coming up with some new stuff, ain't they?
I don't know how new it is, how old it is, but that's the one. Yeah.
No,
But to your other point, though, like, who is he? Who is he?
Yes.
Why don't a lot of people really know me out in the streets? It's because the people in my age group don't live here anymore. That's really what's going on.
How about that?
So once you get, like, my age,
which is
oh, no problem. I'm 62.
Oh.
So, I've been around for a little while.
good genes.
And, yeah, we're gone. We've moved. We've moved on. A lot of us have.
Right.
It's the 40-year-old crew that really dominate the narrative here in the city. That group that really is doing the social media that's out and about. And that's the group that I have to kind of introduce myself to here in the town. So they don't kind of know me as guys that I went to school with or church with or played ball with. The fact that anybody would even know I even played ball would mean you have to go to the archive because I was before the 3-point circle. That type of thing.
Yeah, you would take shots. You took those shots back then, you get benched. Nowadays, they expect you to make.
I did take those shots back then. The only problem is that I would have been a higher scorer.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Point. The top of the key was like a foul shot to me.
Right. I also saw doing my research.
Humble
that you
brag.
worked- Yet you're a wastewater engineer.
I am officially a Pennsylvania certified wastewater operator, but my degree is in engineering. So every now and then the company that I work for have me on little engineering assignments, but for the most part I'm an operator. I go to the plants that do wastewater treatment and make sure they're working right.
Well, no, let's just using the metaphor. That'll come in handy once in November once you take over. A lot of mess to clean up and what have you. From what I've seen, like again, I'm just an expatriate watching the process with the receivership and what have you. Now, I know people. I was making a joke on my last show because somebody got relieved. Oh, the school superintendent. So he got relieved, and I was like, "Oh boy, you gotta look busy when Nafis Nichols walks in the door now." Oh man, I am making calls. I am sending emails. Now, so how does your relation? This is a unique situation. I've never seen anything like this. So how does that work? As far as the relationship that obviously you're both for the same goal, for the success of the city, but I'm sure, like, to use the previous regime, you seemed just a little contentious with the man, but yourself, you seem like it's more...
with the receiver you're talking about?
Yes. Well, your previous administration was definitely giving some friction, but yourself, it seems like it's going to roll. You guys will hit the ground running from what I've been watching and reading.
Let's start off by saying people are assuming I spend a lot more time with the receiver than I do.
Right.
So that's one thing that has to be. Hi, how are you?
You're not spending a whole lot of time. You're not, me and my shadow with the receiver.
Not at all. Not at all. He's doing his job. I'm observing the work that he does.
Right.
I like the work that he does. But there's still that misunderstanding or maybe understanding of what receivership is and what the receiver is here to do.
Right.
So let's just circle back a little bit to a couple years ago when Governor Wolf looked at Chester and says, "Oh my God, you guys have 6 months of money left in the police pension." y'all in trouble.
Right,
And it looks like you're not doing what needs to be done within the city to remedy that problem. In fact, you might even be contributing to that problem.
Right.
So I'm going to assign, I being Governor Wolf, a receiver to the city of Chester, who have powers over and beyond with what we've done for you in the past to try to help. Okay. So we've been in Act 47 is what it's called.
Right.
We've had a group that kind of consulted us, that kind of gave us recommendations, and it was up to us, the city, to take those recommendations and do with them what we pleased. Obviously, we didn't do everything that they recommended because we're not out of the black.
Right.
But by the same token, I think some of those recommendations were political landmines. Like,
okay.
It would have been really tough for politicians to go all in on what they recommended.
How do you expect me to sell this?
It would have been really tough. So, the governor probably looked at a group of guys or gals that were eligible to come down to Chester to be the receiver and chose one that looked like us, Michael Dowery.
I was like, what a coincidence.
So I thought that was pretty cool of him. I don't know who he had to choose from. I don't know if it was a next up situation or a lottery situation or, hey, look, there's a guy that kind of looks like he would fit in down in the Chester area. He's from a city that's very similar to Chester, that being York, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Mike Dowery, go on down there and make it work. And he came down here to do the work of getting Chester's finances pretty much in shape. It was a 2-year gig.
Right.
He came down here and realized that it's going to take a little more than 2 years to remedy this situation.
And it just recently an extension till 2025.
This is the second extension.
Okay.
Yeah. So
the one that just happened.
The one that just happened.
Okay, got you.
The second extension.
Got you.
So the first extension kind of took us from receivership. In his second extension period, he's like, boy, things are pretty bad here. I'm going to use the powers vested in me as receiver to, on behalf of the city, put you guys in bankruptcy.
Okay.
And we are in bankruptcy now. So it's gone
Not
from
the end of the world.
receivership to bankruptcy. And then there was a lot of hooping and hollering because the receiver's always been pretty transparent in telling you what's next if things don't go right.
Right.
So from receivership, he used to always hint. I won't say he's always hinted, but he started hinting that bankruptcy could be next, and poof, we're in bankruptcy.
Okay.
Once we were in bankruptcy, he says, boy, if we run out of money before we get through bankruptcy, then the city could be actually unincorporated. Nothing that he would want to happen, nothing that no one else would want to happen, but just throwing that word out there just sent a lot of people into a tizzy.
Oh yeah.
But what is a receiver? He's the type of guy that I call him like a financial planner.
I was like a bean counter. I was thinking, but
you would think. That's where me and he had some differences early on because I thought that his job was only to count the beans, to work with the money, to fix the finances. But then I see him all around town. He's picking up trash with groups of people. He's talking to church people. He'll talk to anybody. He's talking to the environmental activists.
Okay.
And I was like, dude, why are you doing this
Bring
when
the
I expect you to be heads down counting the beans?
So you that be coming after my job here. 36.
He gave a great answer though. He said, look, if I'm going to fix something, I want to know why I'm fixing it. I want to know who I'm fixing it for. I want to understand what this community needs because it's not just fixing a problem right now and moving away. It's fixing a problem and fixing it to a point that even after I leave, I want this thing to be sustained.
My work is done.
So I was like, wow, he's the right guy.
Right.
Because easily, our governor could have sent us somebody unlike a Michael Dowery. He could have sent us just one of those dudes that says, hey, what's the quick fix?
Right. Fire him, cut this.
What can I do in 2 years to turn this thing around?
Right.
And the easiest thing to do in 2 years to turn this thing around would be to sell the Chester Water Authority, and we'd get that big check, and we'd be out of debt, and he would go back home, but the systemic, structural issues that got us to where we are today would still be there.
Oh yeah.
And there
pop
could be
up
a chance
again.
that we could be right back in this situation 2, 3, 5, 7 years from now if things don't get straight. So why is he sticking around as long as he is? Because, and that's another question that I've asked him, is it because you've just discovered so much stuff that it's just more work than you're capable of doing in the time frame that's allowed? Or is it because of what you alluded to, the resistance, the uncooperating, local government?
Right.
And he said it's truly a combination of them both.
Because it kind of reminded me like, okay, we'll wait out this president and then we'll negotiate once he's gone. Like one of those scenarios you've seen in world history throughout. It kind of remind parallels. Speaking of parallels again. Sorry.
So that's kind of what a receiver is, what he's here to do, what he's doing. And it's only like now we're getting to the point of having regular sit downs, which still even haven't been scheduled. Right. But the talk is we're going to have to start sitting down on a regular basis, assuming that you're going to be the next mayor and figuring things out.
And that was one thing I wanted to ask you, though. We talked about Cory Booker and the mayor that his predecessor.
What was his name?
The incumbent that he came up against. Let's take a moment to see.
Because I read his book, and his book is fabulous, but I can't
remember
Booker's? His name. No, not Booker's.
Oh, the other guy. Oh, I'm sure that's some fascinating reading.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. As soon as we hear his name, we're going to be so mad.
Let's get it right so we can talk about it.
Cory Booker's predecessor as Newark mayor.
Here is information from Wikipedia.
I want to see, it was Taylor Sharp or something?
Sharp. Sharp was his last name. Not Taylor, but Sharp was his name.
Newark mayor, last name Sharp.
This guy
According to Wikipedia, Sharp James.
Sharp James.
Here we go.
Okay, Sharp James.
Oh, he came in the room. I'm Sharp.
And when you read his book, it starts off with him right in jail. It's like, dude, what happened?
Appropriate for that fella. And that, so speaking back to that parallel, watching you guys and with the election. So are you, when presuming that you, using that P word again, presuming you take office in November, are you expecting to find like the light fixtures missing, the wiring ripped out and everything?
I hope not.
I do. I expect you to do that from what I've been watching. But go ahead.
I would say that my relationship, I mean, I've been on council for a couple of years, so I spend some time in City Hall.
Okay.
We're generally cordial,
right,
amongst the crew. I don't know what they're saying behind my back, and they don't know what I'm saying behind theirs.
Right.
But we are gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen when we're in each other's presence and we're doing the city's business. So that really makes me feel good. It's not a lot of it's not a lot of contentious type stuff when we're present. Now, campaign season is always going to be different. That's silly season.
Yeah, right,
so
right.
You don't expect a lot of kissing and hugging during that time, but by and large, beside the little microaggressions that go on a daily basis, I just kind of laugh it off and say, okay, this is your way of, but, I've been in political situations in the business world for a long time. So when you talk about office politics is politics.
Right.
And I've been through a lot worse than here in Chester, believe me.
Oh, wow. Mayor, I'm going to take a picture of this. And
you can have it, man.
Oh, even better. I'm going to put it up on the screen. So this is
sure. There's nothing there that should offend anybody.
Right.
There's an election coming up. Remember to come out and vote again. That's what that's all about. And that's going to be my kind of campaign theme for the next 5 weeks.
Okay. Now, with you knowing, so before I let you go, I want to ask you.
You mean we're almost finished?
Yeah. I don't want to take I actually scooted out of work. I was like, boss, I need a big favor.
Well, let me tell you, you have me here, so as much time as you need. Take it.
So with your work in engineering and wastewater, and I work with autistic children, and so a lot of times I see water get wasted. It drives me up a wall when I'm seeing people waste water on the lawn and what have you. So have you heard about the condenser that Bill Gates financed? It's you haven't heard of this? Hold on. Oh, we've talked about this before on the D Train with Darren DeVoue on CMPRadio.net.
The project he's talking about.
Presumptive mayor doesn't know.
I don't.
Okay, hold on 1 second. So
Bill Gates is a pretty smart guy, so I can imagine he's doing something a little bit out of the box.
Bill Gates water condenser. This machine, it does is, and it's genius because, like you said, Gates is smart. And you ever remember seeing Back to the Future?
Yes.
And remember the scene towards the end when Doc pulls up and he brings the DeLorean back and he opens the back of it and he's using the trash to throw it in and I need fuel. And I was like, that is genius. So what Bill Gates did was he financed and they made a machine that turns that a resource that will always be producing and it makes it into water.
Okay.
You want to take a guess what that resource that we always produce it? You as a wastewater. Yes, indeed. So I always wonder, because when I see people wasting water, I'm like, you know you're gonna hurry up and speed us up to the pool water, right? That's where we're going. So I was curious about your thoughts on how, like, taking something like that and convert, like you working with wastewater. Would you be all right with drinking it?
That's what we do in wastewater. Well, there's this term called one water. Like all water kind of just goes around and around and around. So what we do with wastewater, basically it's the water that comes out of your house.
Okay.
So you've got
dishes.
Chester Water Authority providing water that goes into your house. And what makes them so special, or companies like them, is that the water that they send to your house is drinking water quality, right? So that you can turn on the spigot, put your glass under it, drink it, and not drop dead immediately. All right? That has never happened from what I've seen around the country.
Okay.
Immediately, right? It's drinking water quality. But when that water comes into your house, it's also used for you to take a bath, for your toilet, for your washing of dishes, for you watering the lawn, for you washing your car. So you have to kind of scratch your head a little bit and say, the Chester Water Authority type companies are going through all this effort to make this water drinking quality, and nobody's drinking it, right? People are using bottled water. People are like, I'm spending money for bottled water when through my faucet is coming this drinking water quality. So why don't I have like two sources of water coming to my house?
Okay.
Drinking water quality water, which is important. Now people say that they don't drink the water out of the faucet, and I understand the mindset, although I don't understand it fully, because if people really understood how good the quality of water was, they drink more of it. Bottled water is definitely a convenience when you're away from home.
Right.
And there are some issues where, you know, the water might not be great, but usually somebody will be waving red flags and telling you, don't drink the water, boil the water, or just don't drink it, go with bottled water. But wouldn't it be great if we had a second source of water coming to our house for everything else?
Okay.
Like, do we need drinking water quality sitting in our toilet?
No.
Washing our car, washing our clothes?
Right.
You know, we really don't. And what you're starting to see is a movement around the country in California. Mandate that wouldn't it be great if we had a have to recycle their water. So if they're watering the grass, grab that water and water the grass again.
Right, because it's going through a natural filter anyway. So
Now the wastewater is like water comes into your house. That's drinking water quality. That's clean water. It leaves your house. And then it has to go somewhere, and it goes to places like Delcor where they treat that water, and then we dump it into the river. Somewhere downstream.
Good luck, Chesapeake Bay.
Somebody's taking that water in, scrubbing it, cleaning it, and turning that into drinking water quality, and it's going into people's homes. So what I'm imagining the Gates project is they're skipping the whole water treatment plant and they're making their own kind of localized water treatment plant and just bringing that water back in as consumable water.
Okay.
So, and that's pretty cool. And a lot of people have attempted it. A lot of people have tried it, and it's effective. It does work. It's not a lot of science in it at all. In fact, it's more chemistry to make drinking water. It's a whole lot of biology to clean up wastewater. Okay. And it's kind of fascinating to see how they both work together.
Now, how'd you get in? What made you,
by
as
mistake.
you went to...
Straight up by mistake, to answer your question.
Yeah.
If I knew about wastewater, and maybe even, the drinking water side of the equation, but definitely wastewater. If I knew about that a long time ago, I would have gotten into that industry a long time earlier. Number one, because it's really easy to understand. And as an operator guy who has to go out there and make sure the machines work and the chemistry's right and the biology's right, it's super duper easy compared to being an operator in a refinery where I was previous to that.
Interesting.
That's dangerous, and you got to know a lot. And like, do you really want to sit under a pipe that's pumping out like 500-degree gases at so much pressure, and things can leak and blow up, and you have to ingest all these fumes and stuff all day long, and you have to wear all this protective equipment? Or do you want to go to work with a nice little shirt and a nice little pair of khakis?
What a dilemma.
You just got a baseball cap on, not a hard hat. And my job pretty much is a pool boy.
Okay.
I just make sure the water and the biology, the bugs that are in the water are happy.
Okay.
Make sure they have their oxygen, make sure that they have their food, and then make sure that the water that leaves the plant is safe to go into the bigger bodies of water. In this case, in Chester, it's the Delaware River. Some of the smaller plants that I work on, it's local streams. And in some cases, what we release creates the stream that goes to the bigger body of water. It's really cool. It's
this has
really
been
cool work.
informative.
And believe me, people need to be paying attention to it, especially if you're young and you're looking for careers, because it's old guys like me who are retiring off, and there is not enough of a wave of people behind us.
Interesting.
That's going to take these jobs, and it's a great career. It's a great career, and it only requires a high school degree, if that.
Shut the front door.
Yeah, man. You really don't even need a high school degree. You just need to be certified. And you go in here and take these tests and pass them, and next thing you know, you're making six-figure incomes for years with companies that pay you nice pensions. Years.
Sound like my boss is getting a resignation letter in a few weeks.
And we can employ people right here in the city of Chester.
How
Like
about
a lot
that?
of people that work here in Chester that do this wastewater work aren't even from Chester. I mean, they're from the county. We got a lot of guys from Ridley and Aston, and there's reasons for that. But there's no reason why we can't train up somebody from, let's say, 8th grade, start introducing you to this kind of stuff, and by the time you finish high school, you go to a place like Delaware County Community College, you take the 2-semester course, that's a certificate course, it's not even graded, and then you're ready to take the test. You pass 2 or 3 tests, and you can work with that license anywhere in the country. And it's good work. It's really good work.
This might have been my best interview yet, because I think I'm about to make a life decision.
I really wish I knew about it earlier, because I would really use that engineering side of my brain in that business, because there's not a lot of innovation, but there's a lot. I mean, if you can use a microscope and look at all the little bugs and how they work, I mean, it's
get your curiosity going, and that's half the battle.
It's a fascinating business. And it's a lot of people don't know about it, but everybody uses water. It's an industry that's not going anywhere anytime soon.
There you go. He's already showing the magic touch. He's getting half the young youth employee. Because I see kids being trained. This program's for kids, 16-year-olds with truckers. Now they're training like little high school sophomore, little girls half your wife's size. Yeah.
I did that for a minute.
No kidding.
I did. I've done it all.
Oh, I hear you. Like, I've served your meals. I've watched your kids. I've done, you know what I mean? So, yes, exactly. So you taught before as well?
I've unloaded your UPS trucks.
And I'm sure that helps diversify not only your resume, but your viewpoint as well. Like,
a lot of that stuff I don't even put on a resume. It was
They don't want to hear about
while
that.
You're between careers, just to keep food on the table and to pay child support. Right. I mean, these are the things you do. But yeah, you're right. It absolutely does kind of make me understand what everybody's going through.
Right.
I know what it's like to be unemployed. I know what it's like to be damn near broke. I know what it's like to
the
have
yellow
hustle.
notice.
I know what it's like when your accountant says, if you bring me one more W-2, I can't use a stapler. So there's been years like that as well.
Gotcha.
But somebody asked me today. I was talking to some students down at Lincoln University, and the lady says, "You've had kind of a diverse background." I guess she did a little background check. She says, "What one job that you had has prepared you best for city government?" So here I am interviewing myself here in this thing, but I had to say project management was the one.
Okay.
So for those of you who want to do that academic track or maybe go in the corporate world, I'm going to tell you right now, if you can get into project management, it would be that one thing that will open up doors in just about every industry out there. So you don't have to kind of pigeonhole yourself into think, I really want to go into medicine, or I really want to go into law, or I really want to go into business. Learn project management early in a career, and it's something that every industry finds super valuable in career.
Yeah, because you, with the city council, you are in charge of...
I started out in charge of Parks and Rec.
There we go.
The mayor kind of appoints the team that's in front of him as council people to departments. It's a real unique system that we have here in the city of Chester with regard to government. You won't find this hardly anywhere else where council people also run departments.
How
as
about
directors.
that?
So in the city here, we have departments like Department of Recreation, Public Works, which is all the street stuff, whether it's cutting grass, shoveling snow, and the heavy equipment type stuff. We have finance, and finance and HR kind of go together under that director. And then we have public safety. So I started off in Parks and Rec year 1, then I moved to public safety year 2. Public safety does not involve the police. That's the mayor's department to head. He heads the police department and public affairs in the city. But public safety is the fire department, Department of Health, and license and inspection. And let me tell you something. I understand where the receiver is going when he says, I'm not really comfortable with you guys as city council people running departments. And
that's like asking the auto company, hey, you guys watch over yourselves there. And, we got you. We're going to get on it.
It's a little of that, but it's a lot of, when people vote for us, they're not voting for that guy's going to be the next director of recreation. Like, I just want you to be the city councilman. They don't know what happens when we go in there and have to take on a job, a real occupation. And these are real jobs. I mean, we're really responsible. But to some degree, sometimes it's like, I'm public safety, so the fire department I'm in charge of. Am I going to tell the fire commissioner how to put out a fire, how to stab his blaze? Nah, I really trust that you know what you're doing. But as far as his operating budgets and maybe discipline throughout the department, hiring, firing, it kind of comes up to my level. But we could really benefit by having real professionals running these departments as directors, as opposed to trying to shoehorn city council people who may not have the skills and experience and background and qualifications, to run these departments. So that's for people who are maybe confused that why the receiver and ultimately the judge ruled that, I'm kind of feeling that city council people shouldn't be running departments. But some of the pushback that we hear about between the city and the receiver, that's one real sticking point, because the city will counter that with, well, our city charter says that we should have it like that. So it really isn't as much a battle between personalities, although that kind of sneaks out, and that's what you read about, and that's the sexy part.
That's the part that makes the headlines.
It's really a battle between the powers that the receiver has, and I always kind of put it in that, and the powers vested in me as receiver, and they are broad, but up against our city charter
and the system itself,
and the system that's in place.
So you would have
so
to make
the
those
city sits there and says, "No, you can't come in here and do this. We got this." And he's saying, "Well, I know y'all structured like that, but you're in a situation now where I kind of got some powers too." So it has been decided by the courts as to who gets what authorities. And right now we're waiting for a decision from the Pennsylvania Supreme Court to decide on administratively how things are going to be run in the city. The judge ruled on the state level that, receiver, I get you. You need these things to happen in city government. And the city said, nah, we appeal. Let's let the Supreme Court decide. And we're waiting for a decision there. So it gets a little tricky there, and that's where the receiver comes back and says, hey, look, I should be working on your numbers. I should be working on your bankruptcy, and you've got me all up here in court. If we run out of time,
and that's the
and you can run out of money before we get through bankruptcy, that's the thing. And for the most part, no one ever imagined that a city would challenge receivership. It has never happened before. Even if the receiver's powers kind of butt heads with the city structure. Most of these towns that have been through receivership have kind of said,
Right.
Come on in, help us out, and we'll take it from there when you're gone. We're the first one in the state for sure, and there hasn't, well, I can say Detroit challenged their receiverships too. But when they start getting challenged, then lawyers get involved,
And
courts get
shysters
involved, money gets spent that shouldn't have to be spent.
Your
Time
Honor, I
gets
filed
wasted.
for a delay I need to look over some paperwork and things because these folks, so we'll revisit this in 6 months after I cashed a few more checks, Your Honor. Right.
But the more interesting piece is that the moves that the receiver is trying to make only applies to the time that he's here as receiver.
Okay.
So no matter what the judge rules, it's only for the receiver for the time that he's here being a receiver. Once he leaves, the city can, with the snap of a finger, go right back to the way it was or it wants to be.
All right, y'all, he gone. Come on. Let's get back.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And that's why it gets a little like, why are we going through this? When this dude is just trying to do what he's trying to do in the time that he's here. It's your city. Once he's gone, you can go back to where it is. What makes it contentious is that it just happened to fall during election season.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like,
That's where things get a little tricky, and it appears to some that the receiver has been meddling in the elections through the decisions that he's making, but it's only because the clock or the calendar fell where it fell.
Yeah.
It could have easily been year one of an administration.
of somebody, you could have gotten hit with this. Like, I remember when Nutter took over, coming from Philly, I remember when Nutter took over for Shiesty John Street, and then he turns around and he's like, oh snap, this school's how far in debt? And all kinds of things sprung up and then John Street was like, I don't know, blame it on the dead lawyer. Yeah, it was him.
Yeah, we hate to see when fingers are this happened then, this happened there. It doesn't matter.
So you're not sprung.
What's going on right here where the receiver comes in and says, I don't give a damn about what happened in the past, what's happening. I'm just looking at today.
Right.
Here's where you are today, and here's where I have to try to get you tomorrow so you can see next week, next month, next year, next decade.
And that timing does kind of work out for you because, again, you didn't get into office and then get mollywopped with a surprise, all this going on. So, and that's like, it reminds me that you've seen The Wire, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
And then there's a scene where the guy is telling Tommy Carcade, you're going to have to eat bowls of sugar honey iced tea. If you know what I mean? Yeah. And so he's like, oh, here's your first bowl. And that's pretty much being mayor. And so you got spared that bowl of sugar honey iced tea right after you took
we'll
off.
see what's on the dinner table once I get there. But it is, a good time for me or anybody else who would have come along at this time that you're working to truly you're working with the group that's reshaping how things are going, so we're not stuck where we are trying to get out of right now. So it's an interesting time in Chester City government. It's one that the eyes of the nation are watching, and certainly the state is watching.
Yes,
because there's all kind of dynamics going on. We have a new governor.
Oh
and he's very aspirational. I don't think there's any secret that he's not looking to be, or he's looking to jump from governor to something else. Okay. And I'm going to say this on camera that Chester's going to factor in greatly in how he moves in the future, because is he going to be the guy that's going to let that little city die? Is he going to be the guy that's going to save the city? And how will that dynamic play when he's running for higher office? He's going to have to make some decisions too. So as much as Chester has been very insular in its government, has been very sea pride-ish in its government, has been very parochial. I don't know how many words you can use, but we're a very proud city. We've got great people here. We want to support our own. But
I see that. Yeah.
At some point, you got to look at the bench and say, you know what? Maybe we need to step out a little bit and bring in the talent and the skills and the type of resources we need to get us over the hump, so that we can serve the people in the city. Because that's what it's all about. It's about serving the people in the city, making sure that they're getting at least the basic services that they deserve. people could have left this city if it's as bad as everybody says it is a long time ago. But what you said earlier was like, you're a dude from Philly who gets off at Highland Avenue, and you looking around, it's like, yo, I feel peace here.
Oh, yeah.
So people from outside are moving to Chester in droves for
Right.
that reason.
I'm trying to get my cousin down here,
Yeah.
too.
Now, once they start learning what's going on, the dynamics and stuff, they're like, well, y'all is a little silly about how you do things, but let me tell you something. I can tolerate the level of what you're considering badness.
Right,
and let's just
right.
call it crime. Like, if you're coming from a crime-heavy area and you come to Chester, you're like, you know what? I can almost leave my doors unlocked. Almost.
One day, I was sitting there late on a Friday night. I get off at night. So I'm walking, and I walk down to the Loophole on 9th Street.
Mm-hmm.
I'm walking, and there was this one fella.
Okay,
he looked-
here we go. The
I've
bullet
seen
train has
this one
16
fella, he
cars,
looked a
10
little
economy,
animal.
6 first class, and remember,
And
only 1 minute
another
stop
guy
at every
walked,
station.
"Excuse me, sir, you wanna walk?"
I've been stuck
And I was
on
walking- I was
76,
like, "No, but-
95,
Thank you. And I'm
476,
looking at him, I'm
222.
thinking,
You
huh,
get the picture.
I still feel
Anyway,
way safer.
jump
Like if that guy
on
would
this
came with me
train.
back home in Philly, I'd be like, no, back.
Not sure that's your
You know,
biggest
but
concern.
instead, I was like, nah. When I did the interview with the Oak Tree, we had a setup. I had it
I'm
all
able to
set
do
up.
that
It was
here back
right
in
on his
Chester.
stoop.
Chester
It was a
is
lovely
interesting
day.
in the
Yes.
sense that
Now the problem was
we're mostly
there's a
black
nice
town.
tree near Dominic's house.
You don't have to go far out of the
Great
city
shape.
limits to have very mixed towns.
Right.
When you start mixing races, you start having racial issues. In Chester, we don't have racial issues because we're all basically one race. And I often say, when I come back to Chester, I feel like I'm in a warm bath of water. I feel a comfort level that I'm not feeling just a couple miles outside of my town because, I mean, craziness does go on here. There's desperate people here, and desperate people do
Right.
take desperate measures. But by and large, there's a lot of respect for each other down here, and the fact that everybody knows everybody,
Right.
you ain't getting away with too
Right.
much for too
Exactly.
long. You know, in this town.
Somebody saw me doing
Somebody
it.
saw you, they
Even
know
if
you, they know your car. You
at the
know.
very least, they know your auntie.
Yeah. And, well, you know, one of my wishes is that we can get more local law enforcement here so that the police can get to know us just like the community knows each other.
Okay.
You know, one of the issues we have is that in order to find police, oftentimes we have to bring them in from outside the area, and that doesn't make anybody really happy or comfortable. And my job, you know, as mayor is to not try, but to make real efforts to get the police more connected in the community so that
Community
they can get to
police,
know us.
yes, yes.
These guys aren't bad just because they're white. These guys just want to be police persons.
Right.
They want to do a good job, and we can help them do a good job by forging a stronger relationship. And you know,
Indeed.
administratively, there's some things that the police can be doing better. You know, on the top line
Oh, yes.
level. You know, we know that. That's kind of the nature of what policing is. You know, these
Oh,
days
yeah.
in these times, but. You know, you don't. I don't think we're close to a Ferguson here.
Right,
I think
no,
we're
no,
close
no, no.
I mean, we just don't feel like we're there. Now, there could be one incident that could change all that. Who
Right.
knows? But for the most part, we are accountable to ourselves down here. There's a
Yes.
lot of street justice that goes on down here. There's a lot of people who watch the areas that they are responsible for, and to accentuate that even more, you know, I want to be very proactive in identifying the block captain type scenario
Oh,
where,
yes.
you know, everything doesn't come to me first.
Right,
like,
right.
talk to the dude that's running your block or blocks,
Right.
who will roll it up to the committee person, who will roll it up to the council person.
Interesting.
And if it gets to me, then we got a real problem
Okay.
that I got to solve.
I totally
All
forgot.
that's not in place quite yet, but
Okay.
the city is very, very doable, very
Oh, yeah.
growable, a very nice place
I
to live.
just
It'll
see-
never be a bedroom community. It'll never be a media, Swarthmore, Haverford, those kind of places. One of the issues that I have to address is housing, affordable housing. And the issue we have here is plenty of housing, but we're 100-year-old houses.
Right.
Like, they have to be flipped into the new version of affordable housing so that we can look better, feel better, have pride in our neighborhoods.
Right.
Those are things that you know, those are efforts that have to be made, and I can't tell you how many developers are ready to jump into Chester to do the work. So,
Okay.
you know, the city first has to do the work of being ready for them.
Right.
And to have them come in, get vetted, help them understand, what parts of town, what blocks, what neighborhoods, what we need.
You're not just coming in pillaging.
I would love to have like a catalog to just present to people and say, oh, you want to help Chester? So for $1,000, here's everything that you can do. Hey, you got 10,000? Hey, 1 million? Go to page 73. Okay, go to the blue section. You got 10 million you want to drop in Chester? Here's exactly where we could use you. And as much as that's kind of pie in the sky, it's not far from pie in the sky.
Are you going to be working for? Hey, you can sign up. Hey, you can sign up for our platinum membership.
Exactly. But Chester people deserve a lot more than what they're getting, and they're going to get a lot more from me. At least a lot of attention, and a lot of communication. A lot of our issue is how do you communicate to a whole city at once? It's difficult. It used to be a time you could buy a daily paper. If you didn't have it, the neighbor had it. Everybody knew what was going on. The water cooler now is Facebook, but we know the Facebook algorithm is kind of crazy. Everybody doesn't get everything. And then everybody isn't on the Facebook, There's the Instagram, there's the TikTok, there's all that noise going on out there. We have the city channel that we have to do a lot more with. Right now we just kind of rotate a PowerPoint presentation, but that should be a place that has content like this that's on constant rotation.
Where can I pick? This might be a dumb question, but where do I pick that up at?
Comcast has a channel and Verizon has a channel.
Okay.
To tell you what those channels are, I
don't get you started lying.
I would be lying.
I got you.
Because when I go there, I just kind of get disappointed seeing just the same old things.
Okay. I know exactly, like community announcement kind of thing.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah. I mean, it's important, but it doesn't draw me there. It doesn't, like, when I come home from work, it's like, it's not the first thing I'm going to flip on.
Make sure.
And it should be.
Right.
And it should be. Or sometime every day or once a week, I should be, hey, I don't know, that city channel, see what's going on.
Before you go
You
to
should
bed,
be able to see the city council meetings, being presented on that channel, on a rotating basis, those type of things. And same to go with my partners across town, the school district. We would hope that they have a channel as well. They have a public service channel, their own channel.
Okay.
So we have to do a better job of communicating, and a better job just means finding multiple streams of communication, because there just isn't one anymore. We might have to get down to bare bones, tack a flyer up on a telephone pole type of thing. But that's what people see.
Now I was going to ask you. Well, we'll get your information because I'm going to put that up on the screen as well. Because I've seen you're on X. I'm not sure or Twitter as they used to call it.
I am.
With the tweet book.
I got to be careful with social media because
you ain't got time for that anyway.
Well, it's not so much the time. It's the fact that people are so comfortable with social media that they want to communicate to me with city business through social media, and it becomes really tricky. It's like, he's on social media, so why ain't he answering social media? Well, it's because I have a city
social stuff.
I have a city email address. I have a city phone number.
Right.
So
that's not what I'm here for. This is what I'm on this social media to put up pink fluffy unicorns dancing on rainbows and me pictures and whatnot, but not
pretty much. When I'm taking a photo with my iPhone, I'm like, that looks pretty cool. Let me put that out there.
But not for.
I've had a blog for a number of years in a newspaper. My blog is still active. It's chesterblog.com. I encourage you to go out there and see the history of work that I've done. A lot of it has led to me being in this position right now because I've been following the issues that Chester has encountered, whether it's government, school, social, church, children, sports, all those kind of things just turn me on. I'd sit at home and do 3 blog posts a day when I was in my prime. Right now, I better not put too much up there.
Right.
Too much.
Everybody's looking through that with a
But I do submissions, so if anybody wants to use that blog site as a vehicle to get your word out, or, oftentimes I see things that I know community would be interested in. What was the most recent thing? The most recent thing I put up was just yesterday, where Governor Shapiro has made it, I guess, law. Maybe he just made an executive decision that when you apply for your driver's license, you will automatically be registered to vote, where now you have to opt in. So people have already asked me, well, what impact do you think that's going to have on Chester? A lot of people are already registered to vote here in Chester. Registration isn't our biggest issue. It's getting people out to vote is our biggest issue. Hence that card that I just gave you.
Yes, sir.
Listen, remember, you gotta come out and pull a lever, push a button, write a name, whatever you need to do. And even if it's one person off the whole darn ballot, your one vote counts so much because people look at Chester in other communities, particularly our county, our state. They don't even count on Chester for votes. So when you have
CMPRadio.net, it's the station.
I was wondering about that because you got what 30,000 plus in the city.
30,000
That's a
people.
significant vote block, especially because, like you said, most of them black. So y'all already going to lean on the same ticket to some regard.
We are such a strong voting bloc that doesn't take advantage of the fact that we're a strong voting bloc.
Because I've always been curious once I got here, and I was
and it's
curious
evidence
about
on
that.
election day when you look around and see the signs that are out there. Before I really got involved, there really wasn't strong campaigns going on anyway because you were voting for the same people all the time.
Yeah.
So what's the point of campaigning if you don't have a choice?
Okay.
You know, I've given you a choice. Carol Kazim gave you a choice. I'm back giving you a choice, and people are taking advantage of the fact that they have a choice and they get more engaged in the process.
Indeed.
When you're just going flat line for year after year after year, people realize I don't have a choice, and what difference does it make anyway? The same people are going to get in there anyway. But more importantly, what you don't see are signs from outside the city. You don't see county judges and county council people and the treasurer. You don't see the state Supreme Court people putting their signs here because as many people that are here that could make a difference for them, they know Chester don't vote. So they'll go to municipalities in the county that have far less people, but far more voters. And those municipalities are the ones that can pick up the phone after the election is over and say,
"Hey, how you doing?
How you doing?" Right. Fortunately, we've got some great people in place now, like Carol Kazim, a state rep, who's just, doing her job.
Yes.
We've got John Kane, who cares. He's still learning us, but he cares about us. We've got Mary Gay Scanlon as our congressperson. I've had a relationship with her for the last couple of years for things that we need addressed on the federal level. She's proven to be somebody who will take the ball and run for us.
Nice.
Whether it's Amtrak, fixing a bridge, or the broadband bill, the infrastructure bill, those big things that you see on TV.
Yes, indeed.
She's our voice. She can go down there and get those things for us if we ask. So if we're not asking, we're not getting.
Going back to what you said about Chester being a mostly black town, and also you said 30,000 people, so it's not that big. There's some universities that have more people in it. I used to go to high school. I'm from Philly, but I went to high school in a small rural town in Pennsylvania, mountains. And then coming back home after I graduated. So I'm from Philly, went to high school and college too, in a small rural town. But I liked it because it was a freer atmosphere. So being here, it's like a combination of those two worlds have taken place. Especially last year was my first homecoming that I went to. And I'm sitting here like
This city is really based on Southern charm.
Yeah,
it really is. We are a city.
Oh my God, they say hello to each other. I don't even know this man. He said, "How you doing?" to me. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, it's a very friendly town.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very friendly town. A lot of it has to do with the fact that as we grow up, we're going through the same schools. We're all graduating from the same high school. Back in the days when we went to church, we had families pretty much dictate what the congregation of churches are. Generational families. We go to the same doctors. We follow the same teams.
Wow.
We love to do everything inside the borders of our town that we can. What disappoints us is that all the amenities that
CMPRadio.net, it's the station.
We don't have a supermarket. We don't have a roller skating rink. So recreation, businesses, but we just have to go a couple miles out. Is Chester a food desert? I love to answer that question. There is no huge...
To some degree. Speaking there are plenty of times where I'm like, I want this X, Y, and Z. So I live near Cousins, but let's see, Cousins has only but so much.
Right.
Then I'm like,
they're a grocery store, not a supermarket.
Right.
But I've lived in not too past life of mine in a spot where the nearest grocery store was 11 miles away.
Okay.
it's one of those nice developments. The nearest grocery store is 11 miles away. So why aren't I calling my area a food desert? Here in Chester, I can go 2 miles to Eddystone,
Right.
1 mile to Brookhaven, and I've got a plethora of places to eat.
Okay.
So is Chester a food
Compared
desert?
maybe to Philly, because I remember I went for a walk. Walking around, and this one young man, he winds up, and then I'm working my way back home, and I'm like, there's a store that's near me, like a little corner store, and he breaks off and goes to the corner. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, he came like 5 blocks. I was like, whoa, you people have to deal with that out here? Like, whoa. But then I thought about it, I was like, well, Darren, it's a smaller town. It's, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, he got his steps in for the day too, right? He got his steps.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not like you're going back.
Just giving that example, it reminds me of when I was a kid that almost every community in Chester, neighborhood, had that corner store that was owned by that local guy.
Right.
Like he lived around the corner and came to open up his store. It was the Harrises, it was the Johnsons, it was the whoever's. We miss that. We really miss that, to have local ownership of local businesses. Now we have, no disrespect to any of these guys, the Dominicans. We have the
Don't get me
people from other areas that operate these stores. They know what we want. They know what we need. We tell them what they we tell them what we want. We tell them what they need, and they serve us. But there's just something about them not being, or we not opening up, these same type of opportunities, even if it's to bring a couple dollars, to the family, or to feed the family. You think about something like a Fatso's Donut. Here's a local guy who opened up a business, who, fed his family, put his kids through college, and now he got to a point where he's getting a little older. He had a little shoulder surgery, and he's like, I got to decide what I'm going to do now. But we miss that real local flavor here. It's just not enough of it. And whose fault is that? It's our own when it comes to that. Like, nobody told us to stop owning our own little local businesses and serving ourselves. When you look at little businesses in little towns like this, they're really served by the 5-block radius that you talk about, right? They're not expecting people from Aston or Eddystone to come driving in to buy a tasty cake at the corner store.
Okay.
But the corner store it would be great if the corner store was owned, operated by some local guys, because it doesn't take rocket science. It doesn't take a lot of money. It just takes a group of people who have the foresight to say, we can feed ourselves.
Right.
We can operate ourselves. I've always had the dream that downtown here, as it starts to take shape again, and thanks to the artist community it is, but if you look at that upper end, let's say between 7th Street and 6th Street, I've always had this vision, and it's after living in New York, where I used to, when I moved to Brooklyn, and I wondered, where am I going to buy food? And then I just go out on Flatbush Avenue, and there's the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, right next to each other in storefronts. Like, there's a butcher shop there.
Right.
There's the fish store. There's the vegetable store. There's the dairy store.
Yes.
There's that little, everything is in a 1-block area. And it's owned by locals, and it's supported by locals, and everything's fresh because everybody's coming there every day, and the inventory's flipping. I kind of miss that closeness, and I've begun to appreciate that a whole lot more than the supermarket way of shopping.
Right.
I became more of a hunter than a shopper. I come home and say, tonight I want a T-bone, I want fresh string beans, and I want broccoli rabe.
Right.
I'll go here and get my steak. I'll go here and get my broccoli rabe. I'll go here and get my whatever. Go home, whip it up. And if there's leftovers, that's because I just bought too much.
One of them good problems. Yeah. Mr. Root, I gotta get back to. Is it alright if I let you go soon? Or?
All right.
Yeah. We'll ask the boss back there,
yeah,
Mrs.
Root.
Here. But listen, when I play, I remember when I crossed. I'm a Nuke from K-Side, and I remember when we crossed, and the brother said, "All right, now the hard work begins, and you're about to cross your burning sand, so to speak, and now the hard work has begun." But I got to tell you, it's been like we talked about what I enjoy about this town, and watching it. I look forward to watching you work your magic because, like you said,
I'm gonna tell you this. Man.
I feel like something good is very coming on the cusp of it.
I don't see it as hard work though.
Oh, nice!
I really don't.
Even better.
I've done hard work. Okay, this is not hard work. These are tough problems. These are tough issues to resolve. It's going to take a lot of cooperation, a lot of brain power, a lot of resources. It's going to take a lot. But
I'm smelling a man who operates in solutions.
It ain't hard. What's hard about having a meeting? What's hard about making a phone call? What's hard about shaking a hand? What's wrong with hopping on a plane, going to see somebody who's done it before me, and then coming back with solutions? What's wrong with going to conferences? What's hard? I don't want to say what's wrong. What's hard about those things?
Right.
Nothing is hard about it. Some things are going to pop right away. Some things are going to take a little time. Unfortunately, some things are going to fail and fall flat on my face. Can I accept failure? Can I deal with failure? Let's see. Can I deal with success? Absolutely.
There's no such thing as failure. Only earlier attempts at success.
There you go. And failure teaches us how to just regroup, repivot, and make it happen somewhere else. But, we got to make smarter decisions in this town. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that decision-making thing is really tricky sometimes because you can make the right decision and have the wrong outcome or a bad outcome. So I really look at outcomes. We need better outcomes in this city. Whether the decision that gets us to that outcome is considered right by some or wrong by others, don't judge the decision. Judge it by the outcome. I'm all about results. So I really don't see this as hard work. The hard work is campaigning. The hard work is knocking on doors. The hard work is raising money. That's hard work. Mm-hmm. Governing is not going to be hard work.
Congratulations, Chester.
To the work.
Congratulations, Chester. You got a man with the passion for the job and as well as the can-do for it. Yes, indeed.
Look, I even have a crowd.
Yes, indeed. Awesome.
This has been fun, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I look forward to seeing you. I'll see you at the game Saturday.
You will not see me in the rain. I'm at the game on Saturday.
Oh, snap. Is it raining? P, I need that tent.
I love local sports, and I grew up as a youth sport athlete in this town, and that's a real passion of mine, is to get every kid involved in, if not sports, some type of activity where they learn camaraderie.
Right.
Learning how to lose is a big deal. I've been on winning teams and losing teams, and I would tell you unequivocally, the most fun I ever had was on losing teams.
No kidding.
The most fun. It's all about fun. You just get out there and try to win. Right. And when you win, the joy is off the charts. When you're a winning team and you're going undefeated, every day is a stressor. Every game is a stress. Every shot's a stress. Every catch, every bat. I mean, hey, I'll lose any day just for the joy of trying to win.
Right on. Congratulations, Chester. And congratulations to you, Mr.
Thanks, man.
And thank you so much again for coming by. And I will see you.
Thanks for making it.
I won't see you in the rain, but I'll see you at homecoming, folks. Show.
We're breaking out on homecoming, so you'll be the first to know, you guys. This is going to be the breakout for the campaign. We've got something for you at homecoming that's going to rock your world.
Exclusive announcement right here.
And it has no pyro. No fireworks or anything.
I got the sparklers for you. I got you covered.
Thank you very much. We'll flick our lighters or turn on our cell phone flash.
Oh, there you go. Shine a light on them.
Yeah, there you go.
And with that, And with that said, thanks again to Mayor Presumptive Mayor Roots. But seriously, can you feel it? Can you feel it? Can you feel it? That's optimism. I smell optimism in the air. And that's a great thing. I'm going to have to post my interview with the Oak Tree, Dominic Toy of the Chester Clippers, because I didn't want to, once I didn't know, anyway, you don't need to know how the sausage is made. But again, don't forget, big news, don't forget, since homecoming, like Presumptive Mayor Root said, they're going to unveil something on homecoming. But in the meantime, what you need to do is file this note November 7th. So don't forget to take your civic duty and handle it in order to move the city forward. And with that said, I would like to thank you for spending your precious time with me as I'm learning my way through the area and through doing this. So we'll see you next week on the Detroit. Oh, homecoming recap. We're going to air the interview with the Oak Tree and recap Mayor Roots, presumptive Mayor Roots announcement. And I think that's it. Don't forget the Chester boys, even though summer's over and it's winter right now, your kids still need something to do after school. So what you want to do is send them to the Boys and Girls Club of Chester, and they have plenty of enriching programs there for the children. And also you can volunteer as well. Also, don't forget about LeBron Construction for all your home renovation needs, and as well as bathrooms, tiling, etc. As I often like to say, LeBron Construction, they give good deck, D-E-C-K, all right? And finally, that takes us to the end. So this is my on-call phone for work, and I have been a focus group of sorts for the dexterity of the screen guard in the case, because when this thing has been going off at 3:30 in the morning, I just take it like that. Hopefully none of my bosses are watching. It's just my mom watching. I ain't worried about it. So with that said, Mom, I'll see you next week. All right, thanks, folks. Ruh-roh, Raggy.
You will both depart at Kyoto Station, then your business with him will be concluded.
Man, I just want to get off this train and go see a Zen garden and some shit, you know?
So say good night to the bad guy. Come on. The last time you're gonna see a bad